So today we're going to talk about the learning cycle a little bit, and if you've got any questions as we go on, feel free to ask them, and hopefully by the end of the session you'll know a little bit more. So for anybody that's not joined us before, this is all part of my People Club. So my People Club's an online membership for HR people, coaches and trainers. So the idea is that both myself and James have been in coaching for a long time. I've been in HR for about 20 years, and we kind of wanted to create like a one-stop shop for these people. So you can find all your templates, letters, documents, loads of coaching materials, stuff like training aids. I know when I do training, you never have things like icebreakers or case studies and all that jazz to hand. So really wanted to create that one-stop shop. So as you can see there, we do HR coaching training. There's probably 500 plus documents on the site now, so lots of templates to go at. And then some of the other stuff that we also brought to it was we wanted it to be a kind of learning platform as well. So we've got outside experts who host masterclasses for us every month. So it ends up being a bit of a video series on a particular topic. They also do a Q&A halfway through the month so people can get involved and ask further questions. And there's quizzes and certificates that you can download as well. In the aim of trying to create that one-stop shop, and like I know from being a HR director, our team didn't just look after HR, we ended up looking after health and safety, first aid, stationery, and God knows what else. So you're always getting people coming to you saying, I need a first aid person, or I need a health and safety person, or whatever. So we've partnered with loads of really great businesses. So if you need somebody, hopefully you can find what you need in the directory. And then some of our members, some of our partners also offer member discounts. So we've got like places like The Botanist and some really cool bars and restaurants who offer all our members discounts as well. So if you're somebody who likes to socialise quite a lot, and especially now whilst all the good offers are on, you can actually make some of your membership back by going and dining out and things, which is always nice. So today we're going to go through the learning cycle in a little bit of depth. Obviously it's only a half an hour session, but we'll get through as much as we can. And obviously if you've got any questions as we go along, feel free to ask them or ask them at the end, whichever you prefer. I don't mind either way. I always like to start off these sessions with a good old quote. The capacity to learn is a gift, and it is all about being willing to learn. And I do a lot of stuff in psychology and mindset and all that kind of thing, and it is a choice. So as humans, we have that innate curiosity and need to kind of grow and develop and learn. Sometimes we don't always like what we're learning, and we have to be kicked, sort of dragged there screaming or whatever. But we do learn a whole way through our lives, and it's actually a really good thing to develop and be curious and stretch ourselves. So that's what I'd like to start the session off with that nice little quote there. What is the learning cycle? Now, obviously, there's always going to be different variations and different visuals on what it looks like. But this is one of the most popular diagrams on the left here that you can see. And the cycle basically starts in the red box where you're unconscious incompetence, and then you kind of move around the cycle. And we're going to talk through those different quadrants today. So it was developed in the 70s, and it also highlights the factors that affect our thinking as we learn something new and as we go through the different stages. Like I said, you'll find lots of different variations of it. Sometimes it's known as the conscious competence ladder. Sometimes it's used called the 4 stages of learning. There's loads of different terms for it, but I've always known it as the learning cycle. So I'm going to stick with that for today. Like I said, we're going to talk around these 4 stages. So we'll start now. As you can see on the screen, you've kind of got competence at the bottom. On the left, you start off in low competence, and then the idea is that you move around the cycle till you get to the right-hand side, which is high competence. And then you can see on the vertical axes that you start low again in terms of consciousness. So awareness is another way of describing it, how aware you are of something. And then you go up to the higher end where you're obviously more aware and you're more conscious about what you're doing. The 4 stages. Number 1, you're unconsciously incompetent, so you don't know what you don't know. So one of the examples I was always given, and it always stuck with me because it's a really, really easy example to use. If you think about driving, for example, Now, when you're a kid, you don't know that you can't drive. It doesn't really enter your radar. So you're kind of unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. As you get a bit older and you become like a teenager, for example, then you become more consciously incompetent because you actually get to the stage where you want to learn to drive, and you're really, really aware that actually there's loads of things that you don't know. You don't know how to change gear. You don't know how to, put your indicators on even, maybe, or put petrol in, or whatever it is. So you're actually becoming more aware that there's loads of stuff that you don't know. So you're consciously incompetent at that stage. Once you've done that, you go into consciously competent. So this might be where you're actually taking lessons and you get to the stage where you pass your test. So you've learned how to change gear, you've learned how to drive on a motorway, you've learned the skills and you're actively applying them and practicing them. And then once you've done that, so you're going through that practice stage. So this, in a driving example, would be just after you pass your test and you're actively practicing and you're learning new things as you go along. I know a few people told me that, when you're driving, you actually start to learn driving after you've passed your test, because that's when you start to come into all these other little things that happen, people pulling out in front of you or doing whatever it is that they do, and you have to apply skills to them and react to them. So that's all in the stage of being consciously competent and then going into unconsciously competent. So stage 4 is really where you are doing things on autopilot almost. So you're using those skills. And if you talk about driving, I've had many a long journey where I've I used to live down south in Brixham and obviously I'm in Manchester and stuff now. So I'd go down to drive and visit friends, and it would take me 5 hours, even longer sometimes if the traffic was really bad. And, you'd have your music on, you'd be driving along, and before you know it, you've actually driven to a couple of hours, and you're like, oh, I'm nearly there or whatever. So that's in the stage when you're unconsciously competent at something. You're doing something without even thinking about it. And that's really the stage when you're going through the learning cycle that you really want to get to. So when we come to continuous learning, it's really important to keep a log or a check of things as you go through a cycle. I work with a lot of coaching clients, and we talk about keeping a journal. And I know when I first started doing more coaching and development stuff, and for a lot of professional, you have to keep CPD records. So I know when I did my CIPD years and years ago, you had to keep spreadsheets of what learning you'd done and how you were continually developing yourself. And you do that quite a bit in coaching as well. So you ask your clients to keep coaching diaries, and it might be of their learnings, it might be of their moods if they're quite low, or you're trying to get them to a higher place. It might be for development. And I know myself that when we keep a log, as you go through things, you don't always give yourself credit for the things that you've actually done. I know I'm guilty of that. And actually, you forget a lot of the things that you have actually done and achieved and the progress that you've made. So by keeping a check and a log, it's really good. One, if you're in professional services or whatever, you need to do that anyway to demonstrate it. So you kind of have to. But then if you're not even, it's really good to see that progress and look back and go, actually, in those last few months, I have really come quite a long way, or I've ticked off quite a lot of things off my list that I needed to learn, or, whatever it might be. But it's a really good feel-good factor, and it's a real good give yourself credit for the things that you do. And actually, if you just mosey on through and don't do it, then it's, like I say, it's really easy to forget things you've achieved, and it's really easy not to give yourself credit. And actually, when people start struggling, and when like some of the coaching clients that I have, that perhaps when they come to you, they're in a bit of a place of struggle for whatever reason, work, relationships, whatever it might be. But when you start getting people to do this a few months on, they're like, oh wow, I am actually moving forward, I am actually doing XYZ, and it does really boost you as well. So good motivation thing for you there. Next, what are your blockers? So when you go through the learning cycle, what is it that's holding you back from doing things? And again, if you go have any coaching, you work through all this, it's quite a common thing to do. So what are the obstacles? So if you're learning to drive, what are your likely blockers for learning to drive? You need lessons, so you need money, you might need a car at the end of it, you might need time to study for the theory. So, whatever it is that you want to achieve, or you're going to enter the learning cycle for, it might be development, you want to get promotion, you want to change career, whatever it is, what are your likely blockers to doing that? And by actually really sitting down and thinking about it and just writing a list of any likely blockers, then you can start to think about how you're going to overcome those blockers, and you can start planning out. So, in the driving example, it might be, right, I need a car. So how much is that going to cost? Well, if I start saving up now, I can buy one in year, whatever it is, the next year, the year after, whatever. In the meantime, I might be able to, be nice to my mum and use her car. So whatever it is, whatever your blockers are, then it's really, really fruitful. And I find it really valuable task to sit down with my clients and work through what are their likely blockers to what they want to achieve and how potentially we could overcome them. And then really simple model, and I talk about this all the time, is dead simple: plan, do, review. So whatever you do, you've written down your learnings, you've written down your blockers, you're planning out what you're going to do to get to that next stage, whatever that might be. So you've got to plan it, you've got to try things, and then you've got to review it. So you've got to have that, and that's all part of this learning cycle. So, what could you do better? What didn't go so well? And, failure isn't something to be disappointed about. It's just something that didn't work. I know whenever in the past I get disappointed when things haven't worked, I always think of the Edison's light bulbs, that he tried like 1,000 ways and it didn't work until he found the way that he did. And he sort of said, I didn't fail, I just found 1,000 ways it didn't work. So, I always keep like little quotes like that in my back pocket, because you're like, yes, actually, and all failure is learning. You learn what didn't work and you learn what you could do better and what you can improve. So it's very easy to be hard on ourselves when something hasn't gone so well. If you failed your driving test, or you didn't get the promotion, or you didn't get to where you want to be, you've just got to have that resilience to keep going and review it, and then plan it out again and start that cycle again. So I would really, really recommend that you do that if you're trying to move up. So things like this, we've got on the platform, on My People Club, there's loads of different logs and learnings, and there's loads of, we've got all the learning cycle in documents and stuff, so you can download it and fill it all in and use it for however you want. But things like this is just an example of a learning log. But it's a great tools like this which will really help you go a long way. So again, these, you can add to these or take off, depending on what you're trying to achieve and what's pertinent to you. But you can use something like this, like, how did I plan it? How did I go about it? What did I do? And actually, another trick, and kind of going off tangent a little bit here, but another trick that I do with coaching clients is like, what knowledge and skills did I use, or what do I need? What knowledge and skills do I need to be able to drive? So you might need attention to detail. You don't want to be crashing into every car that comes along. I might need to be patient and learn the skills. And then look at where else you've used those skills, because we've all had times where we've had to have attention to detail, or we've had to be patient, or we've whatever. So you've actually used that skill and you've used that knowledge before, so you know that you can do it again. And again, that's a really good thing to do if you do any sort of training or coaching and people are perhaps a little bit nervous or timid or don't think they can do something, is try and find the skills and knowledge that they've used before, and then and then they feel better because they've actually done it before. And again, this coaching log goes on, and it's pop A4 piece of paper with all different questions that get you thinking about your learning log and how you go about things, and then how you move through that learning cycle. So you're going from where you don't know what you don't know to doing it on autopilot almost. If you're thinking of joining us, you can check us out. If you go to the website, actually, www.mypeopleclub, then you will find the free membership where you can get on there, have a look at one of the masterclasses. We've put one of our full masterclasses on there so you can see what it's like and work your way through it. There's loads of different documents and templates as well, so you can check it out. And then if you are interested in joining the full platform, then actually we've got an offer on at the moment till the end of August. So you can get membership for $39.99 a month. That gives you access to the full site. And your membership will always stay at that price. 1st of September, we are putting it up because we have really grown and developed the platform, and it will go up again in the future. But if you join now, your membership will always be the same at $39.99. So, but the first thing to do is check out the free membership because there's loads of good stuff on there. So you can check it out there. Other ways you can get in touch with us, obviously you can email us, there's contact forms and stuff on the website, and you can join the platform. And then finally, we are across most channels now. So we've got a really great Facebook community. So if you're not part of that, then find My People Club Facebook group and join us. We'd love to have you in there. There's always chats and polls, and we do some competitions and stuff in there as well. We also have on Twitter, Instagram, we're on LinkedIn as well, actually, that needs to go on there. And YouTube, you can find all our videos and stuff on YouTube. And we've got a podcast coming in January. So that's kind of it for today. It's a bit of a short and sweet one with the learning curve, but hopefully that's given you a little bit more information. If you've got any questions, then I'm happy to take them. Otherwise, then thank you very much for this little bite-sized learning. We'll see you for our next Lunchtime Learn in a couple of weeks.